So, I have a confession to make. I am kind of nervous, kind of nervous to give this review, simply because this book is very profound and deep, and I want to do the book justice in its review. I worry about giving spoilers. So I've listed a series of questions that I'm going to be looking down to refer to during this discussion. And this is going to kind of sway me against giving you guys too many spoilers. And I promise if I am giving too many spoilers, I'm going to edit those out so you can continue watching without fear of those. But I do want to say again that I'm new at this and I'm very nervous, so please continue to like me. So how did I come across this book? I think the better question would be, how did I come across its author? So, stumbling into the abyss of all that is YouTube videos, you know, where you watch video after video after video and you can't seem to get out of the app, I came across a video that featured Jordan, and it was very controversial and interesting and funny, to say the least. And I really grew an interest at that time for this guy. So the video pans open on a college campus, I believe. There's a gathering around Jordan. He's talking to some college students, and the videographer wants to approach him. So we see the videographer approach Jordan, and the question he is asked is for him to comment. It's not a question, but would you like to comment on the Nazi and white supremacist presence at this protest? So there was protest at the event. And his simple answer, you know, looking her dead in the face, is, yeah, I don't like Nazis. And she continues to argue with him, and he just intellectually, you know, banters with her and tries to get her to listen to him. She's not listening to the words that are coming out of his mouth. And it was in this video that I became interested in this character, this guy, this real life human being that exists in our planet that is very influential in today's Western culture. So I continued to watch more videos, and the more I watched, the more that I grew an interest for him. Just the way that he carried himself with his speech. He really took his time to answer important questions. You could tell with his answers how profound and deep they were, that he really, really considered, you know, all sides. And he has very unpopular beliefs in today's society in Canada as well as in America. And he's been featured on many talk shows and interviews. You can literally watch videos with Jordan for hours. So that's really how I came to know Jordan. And then I discovered that he had wrote this book. And it's actually his second book. I have not read the first one, but I really, really grew an interest in this book. So immediately when I saw it, I had to pick it up. I didn't even have to read it. I just picked it up, put it in my basket, and the rest was history, because I had already done my research on the author. I had done my research on the book, and I had, you know, watched several reviews on the book, and I was sold at that point. So a brief summary of the book. Most would say that it is a self-help book. I would argue that it is a type of self-help book, but it's more than that. It's more of an intellectual read. This is not something that you are going to find haste in reading. You're not going to finish it very quickly. He kind of goes on a tangent in each chapter, and you kind of don't know where you're going to end up, but somehow you end up with the topic of the chapter. And that's kind of how, when you're speaking with an intellectual, that's how their mind works. Their mind just goes off in all these little areas, and it's hard to keep up, especially if you're not on their level of thinking. But I just love that. I think that level of madness is just genius, and it's intriguing, and I could listen to this guy talk for hours. So there's a major theme of the book, and that's going to be religion and theology. And he really refers to biblical stories. He also refers to the famous Chinese symbol, the yin and the yang, that is a symbol of order versus chaos. Order is everything that is known and understood, and chaos is its direct opposite, everything that is unknown and not understood. So he opens the book kind of with that idea early on in the book with the yin and the yang, and the rest of the book just reverts back to the order and chaos that's within and surrounding us. And going back to the biblical annotations, I appreciate him including that, because the Bible has been one of the most influential texts in Western civilization. So how are you not going to write a book such as this without including things like that we all know and understood? Maybe we don't all know and understood, but we understand a little bit. And not only does he use, references from the Bible and other, religions, he also goes into, stories that we all know from our childhood. The story of Hansel and Gretel, Pinocchio, even the more modern Frozen by Disney. He really talks about those and discusses them more in depth to kind of go back to the major themes and discuss, order and chaos within ourselves. And I really appreciate the way that he's trying to draw on all these different areas to try to reach out to a variety of different a variety of different audience members. We're all different, we all have different interests, and him being an intellectual, that's kind of how his mind works. He kind of goes off in a tangent during each chapter, and you kind of don't know how you end up back at the central theme of each chapter, but you do. And I just find that fascinating, that whole madness that goes on in an intellectual's brain. It's kind of hard for you to keep up, but you want to keep up because it's just so fascinating. And that's kind of how this book is written. But I would say the major themes are the opposition of order versus chaos with religion, and also the idea of taking self-ownership and responsibility for your life. So what is the narrative voice? The simple answer here is that it is lecture-based. It is basically, if you could imagine yourself sitting in a grand auditorium listening to him speak to you directly, that's what it is. He does recall certain personal experiences and stories, but for the most part, he's going to play into factual information, historical information, and it's very, very informative. If you don't prefer thinking of yourself sitting in an auditorium, just imagine that you're sitting across from Jordan with a cup of joe and you're listening to some maddening intellectual go off on a tangent, because that's usually how I imagined it. Talk a little bit about the author. So Jordan is a practicing clinical psychologist, and he's also a professor of psychology in Toronto, Canada. He's also a public intellectual. It's kind of controversial. A lot of people have featured him in interviews and talk shows because some of his ideas are unpopular, to say the least. So Jordan is the type of person that's not afraid to comment and explain his opinions in a way that is respectful. I watched an interview actually with him and Russell Brand, and they actually had conflicting viewpoints. They did not agree, but it was a very healthy discussion and argument. And that is how, we should be disagreeing with others. That's how we should be debating in a healthy way, not in a way that's putting each other down and kind of degrading their thoughts and opinions. So Jordan Peterson, he is just very influential in the Western world right now. If you haven't heard of him already, if you go online, you're going to see so many videos that are praising him, and then you're going to see so many videos that are bashing him. So whether or not you like the guy, you really should give him a chance and just listen to his responses and listen to what he has to say and really judge the way that he's saying them. He's not saying them in a way to demean others. He's saying them in a way that's trying to help others. So, yeah, that's a little bit about the author. It's why I grew an interest in him, because I'm a pretty good judge of character, and I really, really like this guy. He's a father. He does have a chapter in there devoted to children. So he's a father. He has that experience. He's also a husband, and he's a good friend from the stories that I've read. And I really admire and I respect this author, and if he writes any more books, I'm probably going to go ahead and get those. So if you are still watching this video, I'm going to recommend that you go and you get this book and you read this book, or you listen to the audiobook, or you simply go online and you watch his many lectures that are available for free on YouTube. Because I really do believe that I have just read something so important that I want everyone to read it. I want to share it. I want to be an advocate for it. Jordan is not, he didn't go to college to be a writer. He went to college to be a psychologist. He's an intellectual. He's very smart. His mind works differently than the average mind. And if I had to describe the book in 2 words, the first word is going to be overwhelming. I know that kind of has a negative connotation to it, but I'm going to go into detail in a minute. The second word is fantastic. I pushed through it. I honed in on my grit, and I finished it, and I just felt immediately inspired and enlightened. Enlightened is the word I was looking for. But anyways, it's overwhelming because I found myself at times kind of struggling to keep up. He kind of goes off on a tangent, like I mentioned before. But he's an intellectual. If you're going to buy a book written by an intellectual and they don't go off on a tangent sometimes, they're probably not an intellectual. Just talking with someone that has a higher level of thinking than you notice things about them. You notice how they go from one idea to the next idea, and then they bring you back down here, and then they go way up here, and that maddening train of thoughts that comes with being a brilliant mind, that just is so fascinating to me. And if you can push through that, if you can just hone in on your grit and push through to the end, you're gonna come to the same conclusion that the things that are written in this book is very very enlightening, very important, especially for today's world. So I'm recommending this to literally everyone. I'm a huge advocate for this book. I love this book. I love the author even more than I love the book. So yeah, that's my review. We made it. So we have reached the end of the video. I hope that you really enjoyed my review of Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for Life and Antidote to Chaos. I really enjoyed this, despite how much I was a little bit nervous in giving it, but we're here, we made it to the end, and until the next one, I'll see you in my next video. Bye.